is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome to the discussion for In the Hall of the Mountain King, which is a game that I have had for quite some time on my shelf of
unplayable games.
A shelf of shame, pretty much over there. And I gotta say, this was a pleasant surprise. I enjoyed this game quite a bit. It is in the slew of polyomino games that are just being made all over the fucking place now. But I enjoyed this one. It wasn't one of those where, hey, yeah, you just have your own grid that you're trying to just buy the resources and just put them on and do your own Tetris game. Mm-hmm. You actually have to manipulate on the board the various Tetris pieces, and you actually have to resource manage to build certain sizes of those pieces to either do kind of what Kat did, kind of stay local, or what Brett and I did and try and go a little bit into the mountain. I enjoyed it. What do you guys think?
I liked it too. Yeah, for a polyomino game, I liked it better than the Mars one we played. I like that we have to interact.
Mars one.
Or maybe it wasn't a Mars one, but it was
Cosmic Colonies?
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was. They're always Mars themed. But I like that we have the opportunity to interact with each other, because that's how tunnel systems work. Eventually,
you don't interact with each other.
We don't.
No,
ever?
You can never touch.
Oh, we can never touch.
No, that's why I said I wanted to get this
then it's a greater
this statue, but
then,
you had built there, so I could never grab it.
Yeah. Well, then I take it back. I hate it.
Oh, okay, I see.
No, I do like I guess I would say, potential of interacting with each other and trying to avoid and getting really close. Because me and Brett are like, he's close.
Yeah,
right.
Didn't even notice.
Right, until now. But yeah, because it does kind of limit you if you don't build wisely.
Sure. I mean, all the player interaction, which could be a positive or negative for some people, there isn't really any. You're not doing really anything with other people. You're just indirectly affecting them, either by recruiting, a troll.
You always have to hiccup
I know, right?
at the beginning of these.
Yep. You either recruit a troll that they might want, or you place a pedestal down in a spot because it might be worth some points in that location, but that means in that different colored area, no one else can place that colored pedestal belonging to that clan.
Yeah. And that definitely affected me choosing not to place pedestals because they weren't many points. I was waiting up for digging into the higher point.
Right, which is really cool because that will affect the game in future games, because this is all random, obviously, with the different tokens. So all the forests could be all out here, so you're only going to have statues in the gray areas. Yeah. But at the same time, you might be like, well, yeah, I know it's only worth 1 point to get into the middle, but if I can get a statue, it's 20 points, So I enjoy that. I enjoy that level of thinking. I feel like for me, this game wasn't where I had to think 10 moves ahead, but you had to think a little bit ahead with your resources and potentially how the cascade of the trolls moot was going to affect you based on how you were the kind of builds you were going to go for.
Yeah. Personally, I didn't even consider it a polyominoes game in the idea that placing the polyominoes were, for me, almost incidental.
True.
It was annoying, but it was also opportunity to get them in certain places, and I did have to figure out. But once you place them, it's done.
True.
You don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah.
For me, there was very little strategy to it. But of course, I also didn't build any great halls.
Right. Right. And the great halls are, I think, I would agree with you. I think that the great halls are really the only aspect of the game that are based on how you want to build your polyomino.
Although when choosing the pieces and choosing what size I wanted and what shape I wanted and holding out for a 5 instead of just putting a 3 down was part of my strategies just for collecting more resources.
Yeah.
But that's a one-time thing.
Yeah, you collect those resources and you get the greater amount of points.
Yeah.
Where it's just and you can hold out really for a 5 or with the Heartstone and be like, well, it's going to be 11 points. And 11 points is not nothing.
No.
Because unlike to equate to that, it's just well, I would need 12 stone, which are easier to get, but that's 4 of my turns to do that. But granted, that's also 12 pieces that you can do. So you do have that flexibility in how you're going to build your network, your tunneling network.
Yeah, I honestly, I was able to get 2 great halls out, which they were the smaller ones, but I think the only time that you're really going to be I gotta build this way. Like, I have to, is when you're going for the big ones. Because they just obviously take up more space and they have to be connected.
Right.
Which then becomes more Tetris-y style, because you're like, okay, now they have to fit.
Yeah.
For my game ended up being much more about resource management, which of course is why I ran out. But the fact that it can be played either way, and
I mean the point. It's funny.
Yeah.
I think
scoring is impressive. Either
it's
way.
literally symmetrical. Like Cat has 70, and then like I'm beelined right across on the other side, and you're smack dab in the middle with that. So yeah, it's 18 points to what's 105.5. Let's see, 12, 17. So that's a 17 to 8, and then 18 point difference from first to second to third.
Yep.
And I'll take a 70, like, anytime I go over 50 on camera, so.
Right, and I think it's one of those games that you throughout the game you feel good because you're constantly gaining points. It's not till really the end game, and the end game final scoring really isn't that big of a deal because you can only get so many statues. Like there's only so many statues out in the game that once the pedestals are put in a certain section, it's like, okay, well I can never get a statue on that pedestal.
Right.
Because if she places a pedestal here, well, I can't connect to then snag that pedestal from her.
Yeah.
So this game is really actually kind of almost a race.
It could be that way.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's personally I find just again right at my edge of enjoyment versus complexity. But I have a lower curve on that than most people do.
Right.
But you can play it several different ways.
Yeah.
You can play it in Tetris style and try to build several great halls. You can and gather up all of these additional resources. You can play it in a recruit and race to the top, fill up my pyramid.
Yeah.
Ending the game sooner. Or you can be resource management.
Yeah.
There are several different ways to strategize, and
Yeah.
they're not all required
Exactly.
to keep a handle on all of it.
Right. Right, because like all this game would have taken is for you to build like maybe one more in here, and then get another pedestal on there, because whereas you couldn't do another blue, you could have tried to get a white or a red in there, and then that would have been 20 points, and that would have put you at 108.
Right.
Which is still like. It like there was never a moment where I felt that I got this.
Right.
In fact, the whole game I was like, okay, like well crap, he got to the 10th spot before me. Shit, that's gonna end the game. And I very much love this end game where it's like finish out the round and everyone gets 2 more rounds.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
I didn't, but that was my resource
Right.
management.
Right, and like I was very much gunning for. It's like okay, well shit. At the end of my game, I'm like okay. I can place. I had this white, which I had the white earlier on in the game, the white pedestal, and then I put the white statue in the Great Hall, and I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do with this now? And then I was like, wait a minute, I can quickly build. I'm the only one who built a level 2 to just sneak up in the third tier where it was worth I think 3 points. It was worth just a little bit more. And then I beelined it over to the statue because the one level 3 I got, actually I got 2, but the first level 3 I got they were all carts.
Yeah,
and I was like...
Because Brett built at the very, very inner level, and then the one that... Yeah, so... We're the only person, we didn't get that gray level.
Huh?
We didn't get the gray... We got the coal level, but we didn't get, like, the stone.
Right. Do you guys like the tier system? The different colored tier system?
Yeah, it kind of gives you something to go for, because, like, next time we play this, I'll be like, okay, well, I need to build more up. That way I can actually discover those, or unearth those.
Or as soon as somebody gets up there, it makes it less valuable, so you lean back to the other strategies.
Yeah, that's true. And I felt that for what this game brings to the table, it is not that long.
No.
It's like on the cusp of about probably an hour and a half. And I would say if it was 2 hours, it'd be too long for what it gives.
Yeah.
But I think the hour and a half is just enough meat to...
Yeah.
Because polyomino games, I mean... The heaviest one is obviously Feast for Odin, which is a worker placement polyomino game that has like 70 different worker placement spots. It's insane. They're not all they are unique, but they're grouped up, so it's not as insane when you hear 70 different spots. They're just basically like stronger versions of the same type of action. However, other than that, these kinds of games can very much overstay their welcome, where it's like, yeah, this is really all you're doing. You're spending resources to... All right. I hope I get some points, which is what Cosmic Colonies was.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, Baron Park is another one that everyone pretty much enjoys. But yeah, where you just kind of are trying to slot a little on your little board, and it's cute. But they usually, for me, I'm just like, you go through the motions. It's one of the reasons why I don't really care for Tetris. Is like, that's just never ending, and you're like, can I please get it over with?
Yep.
But here, I felt there was enough meat to surround the polyomino kind of thing. Would be really cool if they had a different type of way to get rid of spells besides the level 3, because we kind of got stuck in a way where it's like, I mean, you kind of went the route of the gems.
Yeah.
And
then
you,
I traded them in for
you
resources.
trade them all in for resources. Kat, I don't know what Kat's strategy was. She kind of was everything but gems, and I was literally, I don't have a single gem on my thing. I started with one, and then I'm like...
Once I very quickly realized that we had burned through the best spell available to us, I was like, we're probably not going to go for it.
I mean, there's...
I know there's better ones. I'm just saying that was too available for us.
Yeah.
Well, like this one, Golden Mask. If you recruit a level 2 or level 3 troll this turn, use any mix of resources as bribes instead of coins. Like, there was one... Let's see.
Yeah, it would be nice to have, like, spend 2 gems to clear off all 3 of those and get 3 more dealt out.
Right. Earth Ritual. Gain your choice of one of the following options from the supply. 3 stone, 2 iron, 1 heartstone. Like, Giant Strength. If you dig a tunnel this turn, make it 1 size larger than the size you pay for.
Although I will say I like the mechanic of they are exhausted.
I agree. Yeah.
Rather than you're stuck with these the whole game.
Yes. Yeah.
Either they're great or they're terrible.
Right. And I mean, I wouldn't say the ones that we had were bad. It's just that...
They didn't factor in our strategies.
Right. I think probably for a strategy for Kat would have been this dedication right. Is, you know, score points for unearthed statues.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so if she was able to generate gems more, she could have gotten another, 6 points. Or
I could have traded them in for a gem, right?
Huh?
Could have just traded stuff in for a gem.
You could have, but that's 4 for 1.
I could have done
But that is another interesting way where it's like, okay, well, yes, like if you had placed your white pedestal right there, instead of where I placed in the middle, then I could have been like, okay, well, I could still move that in there and then use this and gain whatever 8 points. And you just do that 3 times if no one else is doing it, so that's what, 24? Is that right? 8 times 3?
Yep.
And then it goes away, and then you get more spells. So they do give you quite a bit of spells, afterwards. But at the very beginning, we're just like, ooh, look at that one, more resources. But yeah, there's a lot of, like, Invigorate, select 1 troll in your troll's mood and fill it up to its maximum resources. So, Stone Step, move a buried statue 1 or 2 spaces. So, there's a lot of combos I think that you can go off of this, and the one time that I did was I knew I was recruiting a level 3, but then I happened to get the summon, which let me build my 2, which then I got to recruit my level 3 and then build out. So, I like the spells. I think they add a nice varietal touch to the game.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have any negatives?
Just what I said before is it's almost at my edge of overwhelm versus fun, just to try to keep track of, especially the spells, because that's just one more thing after you get all the core.
Yeah.
But this is also the first time I've ever played.
Right.
So if I played a couple more times, I think that it'll be a lot easier to
Right.
keep all that together.
Yeah.
So it's a lot, but it's not overwhelming, and it's certainly not for heavy-duty gamers.
Yeah.
I think it'll be lighter on the light side for them,
Yeah.
but enjoyable.
I'm looking up this company. I have never heard of Burnt Island Games.
They didn't have a lot of tags on Instagram. So.
Wow.
But typically that's how you know if someone's like in mainstream popular on Instagram.
I don't even know if this was Kickstarter. I mean, like,
It's been on shelf for so long.
it has been on my shelf for a while.
You never bought it. It just showed up one day. What do I have any negatives?
Yeah.
I would say I can't really complain. I was gonna say something about the spells and like them being all the way over there, and it's like, well, they're not really accessible. But that's just how we sit for recording. So that's not really a problem.
Yeah, I had to keep reminding myself what they were.
They also do have expansions.
Neat.
They have champions, it looks like, so probably adds personal people that you have, and then another one called Cursed Mountain, which I might actually pick up, because I do... Well, see, I bought this in the same vein as another game called Treasure Mountain, but that one is dwarves. I would also say I enjoy the theme.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the opening story of how trolls were ran out of their mountain by gnomes, and then it's like, hey, well, we maintained this mountain, so it caved in and crushed all of you. Now we're taking it back. I mean, obviously this game doesn't evoke that in any way.
Right.
But the overall story, I think, is kind of unique. Instead of course, it being a Mountain King game, you would expect dwarves. And it's not. They did a game called Into Deep, which I believe I backed on Kickstarter. It comes out next year. But the other big one is called Endeavor Age of Sail, which is a big kind of Euro pirate merchant game, which I have obviously never played. So, yeah, I mean, I really enjoy the pyramid system. I think that is very cool with the different levels of trolls that you can recruit, which is really, really the only reason to have money besides the trading them in to get one resource.
Yeah.
Which I will say I do like that. Like, it came in crux whenever I was trying to get this statue, and I was like, oh fuck, I don't have any hammers. Oh, but I have these extra irons that I'm not going to use. Do very much like that, and then so.
And I did try to strip all of that out before I recruited another one as much as possible.
Yeah.
Just the way my mind works.
Well, I mean that's huge.
Maximize
That's
the
big,
resource.
and you actually picked the workshop that allowed you to be like, oh, I'm just going to take all these off, and I'm like, well, that's useful. So I had to try and build a way to get them off my trolls. So whenever I did recruit, it was a lot more efficient. But I like that, and I love the tier system. As the game goes on, the more you're going to get to do. So,
Agreed.
Kat, do you like the pyramid system?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Very, very surprisingly good game, and production quality I think is pretty good.
Oh yeah.
So, I can't really think of anything else. You guys got anything?
I think that's it.
All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, Brett.
7.
7? Kat?
I'll give it an 8.
An 8?
Yeah, it's up there with the good polyominoes-ish
Right.
ish style.
Yeah,
shape
I think I'm also going to give it a 3. No,
That's what I figured.
give it an 8 as
You
well.
hate gnomes.
No, all my D&D characters are always gnomes.
That is true.
Um,
That's true.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna give it an 8 as well. I enjoyed my time. I never once was like checking the time to see when the game was over.
Yeah.
It kept us going. Like, it was actually a surprise whenever I got my 10th and you're like, oh, 2 more rounds, and I was like, oh yeah, you're right. And then the game ended. And I'm like, oh, all right, and you were able to do everything that you wanted, because sometimes games are like, oh, the game's over, and you're like, I didn't even get started.
Yep.
Which is very frustrating. But here I feel like you get to it's just the perfect amount of time and
And no one person can trigger the end.
Oh, right, yes.
That's a really nice change.
That is true, actually. We didn't even really talk about that. It's like, yeah, you got to 10, and it's like, okay, well, hopefully you figure it out, like, because you're going to be doing nothing. Yeah, because there isn't really a pass, but obviously if you can't do anything, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
But the game has a really good balance of Kat and I can only do so much before one of us is forced to actually do the second trigger to end it.
Yeah.
And I felt like we were all relatively close. Funny enough, because I was first player, but I didn't go out first. You actually did, which normally it's just like, well, I'm first player, so I'm gonna be the first one done. That wasn't the case.
Like there's a natural like, way that will end. But yeah.
Yeah, and they do kind of compensate you because the amount of resources you have, at least you'll get some points for it at the end of the game because they just kind of come off. You have to end up getting 4 points.
Yeah,
at the end.
I totally didn't even plan that.
Right.
I just recruited last, so it was closer to the end of the game.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think this game is incredibly balanced, especially with the almost identical 18-point to 17-point difference.
That's always fun.
So, that's our thoughts on In the Hall of the Mountain King. Let us know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.